Hello everyone, we are Group 11. I'm Chang Zhikai, and this is my group members Yu Shaoqing, Zhao Chenxuan, and Li Yue. And our topic is about exploring the factors that encouraging the intention to recycle the unwanted apparel. Now we will talk about abstract introduction. Our project explores various factors that motivate the recycling of used clothes using the collection and the connection between PV and INT, PV and INT, and PI and INT as hypothesized that performance expectancy, effort expectancy, self-efficacy, and trust influence satisfaction and online repurchase intention. There's 101 respondents collected by questionnaire to constitute the data sample. The frequency test and the reliability test examine the construct and internal consistency. Descriptive analysis and regression analysis were used to guide VIF coefficients, tolerance, p-value, t-value, standardized beta, and the series of values to conclude the prediction equation. And model summary is used to show how much AV can split DV. All the hypothesis is supposed after the data analysis. So I would like to talk about background of this study. The background study of recycling unwanted apparel involves examining the development of unwanted apparel and understanding people's behavior towards it. Unwanted apparel refers to clothing items that individuals no longer need, whether due to changing fashion trends, size fluctuations, or personal preferences. The fashion industry's fast-paced nature and consumer culture contribute to accumulation of unwanted apparel.
Okay, let's see the literature review. Firstly, I'll explain the SOR model. S is referred to stimulus. O is organism, R is response. The SOR model is a learning model proposed by Maharobin and Russell in 1974. It opens the black box in the middle of the mental model. Stimulus response studies the mental process of the organism from stimulus to response, and emphasizes that the external environment affects the internal state of the organism and thus affects the behavioral response of the organism. Let's say the H1, perceived value. Perceived value as a common psychological variable often plays an important role in the influence of external environment on behavioral intention. Economic incentives may influence people's willingness to recycle unwanted clothes through the mediating effect of perceived value. Perceived value has been shown to induce people's willingness to recycle unwanted clothes. Therefore, the relationship between perceived value and people's willingness to recycle unwanted clothes is directly proportional. Non-monetary incentives have a significant positive effect on people's willingness to participate in the recycling of unwanted clothes. Okay, the second is perceived effort. It is described as the working cognitive sensation associated with the voluntary behavior. In this study, recycling unwanted clothes through a retailer-initiated campaign did not require much effort, making people more willing to participate in the campaign. TPB is the most popular theory in environmental psychology and is very effective in predicting and elucidating the driving forces behind a person's conscious behavioral changes. Recycling unwanted clothes through retailer-initiated campaign is not at all time consuming, and the TPB model states that human awareness has a large influence on behavior. The commonness of recycling is an important factor affecting individuals' willingness and behavior to recycle, which determines whether individuals will take the initiative to carry out recycling activities through formal channels. Okay, then the commonness of recycling involves individuals' perception of the commonness of taking recycling behavior. That is, an individual's perception of whether there are regular cloth recycling places near the activity range, and the distance from the regular recycling places. H3. Peer influence. It can be described as positive or negative. Positive peer influence is when a person is influenced by others to act in a beneficial or productive manner. People consider the opinions of others when making behavioral choices. The sources of important people, the positive opinions of their friends, and the attitudes of their important people will greatly influence the consumption behavior of others. In the study on the influence of friends who recycle unwanted clothes, consumer behavior is influenced, and peer influence plays an important role in consumption behavior. Using peer influence as a moderating variable, studies show that peer influence plays a positive moderating role between environmental problems, the perception of worsening environmental problems, and the perception of environmental responsibility, and the customer behavior of green products.
So now we move to the part of data analysis. In order to prove whether our hypothesis is right or wrong, we use data analysis as a quantitative evidence to explain the hypothesis. First, we look at the frequency test. After the frequency test, we did a reliability test. So now we look at descriptive analysis. Lastly, we focus on regression analysis. In this part, we firstly state the prediction equation here. And we need to find out B0, B1, B2, B3 through the multicollinearity analysis. By using SPSS software, we can get a chart entitled with coefficients. We look at this chart from the right. Collinearity tolerance and VIF. Collinearity tolerance for 3 independent variables are all bigger than 0.9, and VIF is between 1 and 3. This means there is low multicollinearity between 3 independent variables. Now we move to t-value and significant t. Because all the hypotheses are directional, because we mentioned whether the independent variable is positive or negative to the dependent variables. So we need to check whether the t is bigger than 1.645 or not, and then divide the significant t into 2. After this, we find that only the independent variable called peer influence is not satisfied, which means the coefficient estimate for the peer influence is not statistically significant at the conventional significance level of 0.05. For coefficients beta value, as we see from the biggest to smallest, is PE, PV, and PI. This value indicates the importance of independent value to dependent value. It provides the support to practical implement. Lastly, we see the unstandard beta value, which can show the value directly of B0, B1, B2, B3. So finally, we can get the format of prediction equation. INT is equal to 2.543 plus 0.33 peer perceived value plus 0.148 peer perceived effort plus 0.069 pure influence. So next, we look at the model summary. According to the data of R-squared, we know that 27.4% of independent variables can explain the dependent variables, which shows that our sample is less explanatory. But the R value is 0.524, which is greater than 0.5. It means there is strong relations between independent variables and dependent variables. Hopefully, back to our standard beta value. The B1, B2, B3 are all bigger than 0. It supports that all three of our hypotheses hold. The PV, PE, PI all have positive relationships with intention to recycle, which is INT. That's all for data analysis. Next, we talk the theoretical implications and practical implications. These theoretical implications highlight that importance of considering perceived value, perceived efforts, and peer influence when designing interventions or campaigns to promote recycle behavior. By addressing these factors, it is possible to increase individuals' intention to recycle and facilitate a more sustainable approach to clothing consumption. For practical implications, let's conclude it in short words. To promote intention to recycle unwanted apparels through retailers' campaign, the retailer and the managers should focus on enhancing perceived value, the PV, facilitating perceived efforts, the PE, and no need to pay much attention to peer influence, the PE, which is less important according to regression analysis.
The data we are working in questionnaire are basic and false, so our samples are not representative, but according to our tester, we can prove that our data cannot show reliable, structural, and internal consistency. We can understand that the gender distribution is uneven, because gender may be an important factor. Our samples also have educational bias, and most of them have undergraduate degrees, which may ignore the view of light education from the academic part of view. High-income people are often nominated to recycle clothes, and we should monitor the sample size of each income level. Simplify our questionnaire and retain the most critical questions. We can also set up two questionnaires for people with our result expensive to distinguish an wider lack of representation and ensure gender balance, education diversification, and more analysis for the different income groups.
That's all for our group presentation. Thanks for watching.